Hello, everybody, and welcome to Tradition's Going Vertical podcast. Today, again, Erik Hendrikson is back in the fold as my co-host, and we're very pleased to welcome Dean Nelson, president of Homes by Tradition. He's been a guest before, and he's going to give us plenty of updates on what's going on in the home building market and some other things as well. So, first of all, Erik, welcome back. I know we want to cover some interesting topics here. So why don't we start by just kind of doing a quick little overview of what the markets are like right now, because they obviously change considerably from week to week.
Sure, thanks, Mike. I'll give a little update kind of on the mortgage side, and I'd say we're definitely in a time of transition. We enjoyed a tremendously long period of very, very low rates, supported by the Federal Reserve and their billions of dollars of stimulus, basically buying down the yields in the bond market. They've pushed out of that with the economy recovered to a significant extent, employment down, and obviously the inflation elements way up, and we're going to talk more about that. But we did see kind of a big pop upward in rates, close to 50 basis points across the board. So that, definitely put a little bit of cold water into the mortgage market from a refinance standpoint. The good news is from a standpoint of overall affordability, we're still in a great environment there, mortgage rate wise. So that part's good. But as inflation continues to persist, I think there's still room for these rates to move upwards. So again, we're kind of in a transition point, and it's a sense of urgency is being created overall, more so than we've seen in the last couple of years.
As I promised, Dean Nelson, president of Homes by Tradition, has joined us. And Dean, first of all, thank you for joining us once again. I guess I'd like to do a kind of a general state of the union on how home building is. I know we can dig a little bit deeper on so many of the elements, but your impression as we step into the new year here on the home building market and some things that you're seeing as a general overview.
Yes, thank you, Mike. Thank you, Erik. Good to see you guys again. Actually, this last year was very, very interesting, challenging in many ways, but it's forced us as a team in my company to adapt. When it comes to some of our biggest challenges today, it's supply chain. Everybody's hearing it. Lumber prices, where are they at? COVID and how that's impacting manufacturing and distribution. So we've got back to our trades and suppliers on many, many scopes of work that have created extensive lead times for us. In some cases, that put us in an awkward position with our clients to establish delivery dates and completion dates. And so we met with our window manufacturers to determine what their situations are. That's a big one. Which has forced us to actually order windows right at contract, and these are custom window packages, huge window packages with lead times that used to be 6 to 8 weeks are now 16 to 18, in some cases 22 weeks, depending on the series of windows that we have. Hardware type components and cabinetry where we're in some cases installing one product, and then after the home closes, that the product that you originally ordered or spec'd for that home gets delivered and changed out, And so these are some of the things that are, and it goes on and on with items like that, but some of the things that we've been creative enough and learned in advance to adapt so we can get the homes on track, get the customers in their homes, and then possibly come back and retrofit some of this stuff.
Dean, I have this question asked to me a lot by the mortgage clients that we're working with. Generally, people are coming in to get pre-approved, get their financial house in order before they're really kind of doing the deep dive with gentlemen such as yourself, on the home building side. And they're asking me, hey, what direction are you seeing the cost going? Give me a forecast. People want to see some kind of an index or barometer or meter that they can kind of look towards to say, hey, is it trending in the right direction or not? And it's hard to give people guidance on that. Just ourselves, we're doing some suite expansions in our Edina office, and curveball thrown at us. Can't get any door frames. So and it's indeterminable when we'll get them. They literally can't give us any indication. So to me, it's like, gosh, there's got to be a little bit of a forward-looking, metric out there. I don't know if it's lumber futures or what, but what do you guys try to look at? I know nobody has a crystal ball, but are there some things that you look at in your group to try to determine a little bit of where things are going?
Yes, Eric, that's a very good question. Yeah, anything specific like that, even door frames, we hear that across many scopes of work. So what we use as a matrix is we lean on our trades and suppliers, and we're meeting them individually, the lumber suppliers, window suppliers, cabinetry, appliances, to find out if they are working on, and they all are, working on their own distribution. In some cases, they tell us, for instance, windows, they've been able to find parts from another manufacturer, get them tested so they can reduce their cycle time or lead time. When it comes to cost itself, to answer that question, that's a tricky one, where customers, and they all do, they ask, they say, Dean, where are we at? If we were to build this house 2 years ago, where are we at today? And that has changed over the last year. Our prices went up at a high in May and June of last year. That was where lumber prices were in that 23 range, super high, and then they came down in August, September of last year, and it was back down to about 40% higher than where it was the original normal. And so what that does to an overall house, I would say that you're probably 10-15% over 2 years. That's what we're seeing. And I think our clients are astute enough, they see that, because everything has actually went up in price because of the supply chain side, the marketing, distribution. The quantities, it's just supply and demand. And so if the quantities aren't there, the demand is there, prices go up.
So when you obviously have seen a number of problems, and you've addressed them, and you've tried to mitigate them, and so because you can't go back and build a house 2 years ago, like some of your clients are asking, and I know they're asking for comparative reasons, but what do you tell them from a perspective of build now or wait 2 years? I mean, obviously you want them to build, but you also want to give them the best opportunity to do what's right for them. So what do you tell them as far as futures are concerned, or what they should expect maybe?
Well, we can anticipate things hopefully getting better. Like Eric alluded to, interest rates are still, I think, very competitive. Consumer confidence is good. People have stayed in, and they've dug in with us and rolled up their sleeves to find alternate value engineering methods. But I would say, looking forward in a crystal ball 2 years from now, I would say that let's work with what we have right now. I don't know that really pricing goes down 10 or 15%. You can't really project that. So you work as hard as you can today with our trade and suppliers to get the very, very best price, confidently deliver it in front of that customer, and hopefully they move forward. And it's been very successful for us, and they have.
One thing that I think about a lot is they always talk about, necessity is the mother of invention, and just with issues getting product to put in these homes. Have you seen like the substitution effect? I mean, with all these different, it's door hinges and tubs. Are you seeing stuff that maybe was coming in from overseas that's stuck in container crates, or with China being more restrictive with their COVID measures and not being able to produce things, more of that transition to the U.S.? I know manufacturing facilities are getting racked with COVID again, and it's slowing things down, but are you able to value engineer and source some things more? Are you finding that maybe people are innovating? Is it pushing forward on those things, or is that it's wherever you look, it's just difficult to get anything? To me, it's just seeing a shift of where you're finding things. I know a lot of the windows maybe come from, you have Marvin up north, that's, local. Are they having, again, is it their inability to manufacture the stuff, or is the demand just so huge, or is it just a wicked perfect storm of all of the above?
It's a bit of a perfect storm. Fortunately, we've seen a reduction in cycle time on some of the window suppliers, depending on which series you get, so that's good. I would say that specifically on a window side of things, parts. It's not, they have the fat manufacturing, they have the people, but sometimes it's getting the parts and where they get it on their end of it, on the manufacturing end of it. When it comes to you talk about value engineering or suitable substitutes and what we're doing to adapt with that. I'll just give you an example. We'll use tubs and shower assemblies. Many builders are using fiberglass or acrylic tub and shower assemblies in their homes. Those things they're buying in train loads and truckloads. In some cases, those are back ordered significantly and would potentially impact the closing date of a house. So we've gone back to customers, and fortunately we use a lot of tile. And ceramic tile is also a lead time issue, but it's also, we can, or if you order the right product, you can install that shower tub assembly much quicker than if you were to wait for a tub and shower assembly that you may or may not get. They can't actually forecast when we're going to get it. So that has forced us to adapt and maybe not necessarily engineer or reduce the cost, because tile is more expensive than an acrylic or fiberglass shower. But it's an increase. It's a quality increase, and we get to you in your house on time.
Once you've gotten to a certain point in your build, I know that there's a lot of people that like to have, I don't know, they change their minds, right? I mean, humans like to, oh wait, this is the next best thing, or that. Are you finding that it's a little bit more difficult to manage that side of it with, telling people, it's tough enough to get what we're doing right now. How do we manage that side of it where people are being people and changing their minds?
We're custom, so that happens quite a bit, and it's a discussion I have every day with customers, and it is up to me on the very, very front end, or us on the front end, Danielle, our designer, Tom Sand, if we're meeting customers before contract, while we're designing the house, creating specifications, we're discussing this, and we're basically juggling these various items, and as they request these potential changes, we're hoping to mitigate it at that conversation, so we don't get too far into the process. They make these changes, and then that really impacts the schedule. So that has really forced us to have those very discussions really, really early on in the process.
I can't think of a more difficult job to have than a custom home builder right now, because it is, as Mike had alluded to, it's a massively fluid experience. And a tradition we do, between building the custom homes and financing them, we deal with it more than anybody. And, they have all these discussions up front with people in qualifying, hey, here's what we need to build into your qualification ratios, because you most likely are going to be changing lots of things. This may be your dream home that you're going to be in for a substantial part of your life, and you really want to pull out all the stops, and you're going to be adjusting along the way. But massive implications. We're seeing tremendous delays in completion of homes, and you're dealing now with rising interest rates, and people may have a long-term lock that's nearing expiration, and just managing all of this. So it really, you have to have kind of surgical expertise, and there's less tolerance there for that. Hey, let's just kind of, deal with it as we go. Somebody may be in a very, very strong financial position where qualifying or being able to pay for change orders out of cash is not an issue, but all of a sudden what that does to the delivery dates, and you're trying to manage multiple job sites, and all of a sudden now there's back orders, and you have a 90% completed house, and the 10%, there's no end in sight to it. So really managing, I guess, high expectation people with high means, like, how do you kind of go about that without being kind of a kind of a jail, prison guard? How do you do that in a way that, keeps everybody, happy with each other, I guess?
Well, diplomacy and being extremely proactive versus reactive. We meet every Tuesday morning with our team. We talk about every project. We talk about the customers, lead times, what are our challenges. And at that point, we want to attack it right away. Get in front of our customer. If we have an issue, or we have a lead time issue, or we need to get a suitable substitute, or get our customers back in to make a selection, let's do it right now so we can help mitigate that potential delay in the future. So that's exactly what it is. Proactive communication, get in front of the problem as soon as possible, see if we have options before we deliver it to the client, and be prepared to have that meeting right away.
I know you and I have spoken in the past, Dean, about design and how the pandemic itself changed the way people design their homes, because they had a different mindset about where they would be or where they would be more. Have you seen any easing on that, or anybody going, okay, well, maybe it's not going to be this way? Has there been any bigger design change? I know you were saying there's a lot of people that were doing home media centers and home gyms and all these kind of things. Have you seen, I guess, any change in that, or is that still going forward with how people design their homes?
Since our last conversation, Mike, it's actually increased. I think that people have found their efficiency and productivity in the satellite or remote location is productive, and their companies and supervisors are seeing that, at least what I'm seeing. So many people are working from home, and they're putting a lot of emphasis on offices. We've seen a lot of exercise facilities and sport courts and golf simulators and things like that. Some really fun stuff. So they're not only working from home, but they're exercising from home, and they're really making that house amazing so they don't have to leave. And so we've seen more of that than less.
That's an interesting, Mike beat me to the punch there. I was going to ask that question, but we were just talking about in the office, like there's like a generation of workers that don't even know what it's like to go into an office every day. I mean, we're 2 years plus into this pandemic, and it really, habits are being formed. And now with this latest Omicron wave, where you're seeing big swaths of corporate employees are being, pushed back to working from home, for significant periods of time. So it really just the house being kind of that castle, your fortress where you can kind of, go back and be safe and enjoy your life. And it's wonderful to see the beautiful homes that you're building. Just question for you, like, are you getting a greater influx of people calling? What's your, kind of business level? Are despite the cost, are you seeing a lot of interest? And where are you at as Homes by Tradition? You guys, pray to homes and just specs and models. Maybe just give us a little bit of a state of the union of Homes by Tradition since we have you.
Actually, we've had probably the most successful backlog or carryover from third and fourth quarter of last year. We had a dream home entry in the fall parade of homes in 2021. Immense traffic. That was a super beautiful model. And that has led to customers moving forward in 2022. We've got 13 clients that we're working with right now. We don't do any inventory. So every house that we build is custom specific to the client. We sold our model. So this year we are not in the spring parade. We're looking at an artisan entry in 2023 as well as a fall parade in 2022. But yeah, to answer your question, it's just remarkable. I've never been busier. And so we're in a good situation. It is a challenge. It is tough. Just logistically managing those customers' expectations, not only on delivery, but start time. What is our resources? What is our bandwidth? What is our trades and suppliers? How much can the architects do at one time? So that is my biggest challenge today, is managing the customer's expectations on this front side process and where they fall into it. Customer come to me today, I'd probably have to tell them we could start their house late summer, for a 2023 delivery. That's a good problem to have, but it's a very, very challenging situation to keep customers engaged and set those expectations.
How have you found and I know all home builders have to deal with this, just the expansion of home building and locations. Obviously, as a custom home builder, you're not set necessarily to one neighborhood or whatever, although you do have those. But how is that right now, trying to find the right place for the homes to build?
Well, it's a mixture of looking at exclusive lots or a development that may have, 5, 10, 20 custom home lots, whether that be sewer and water or well and septic. Fortunately, we have our customers that come to us with properties. Many of them are on lakes or large acreage properties where there's a house or a structure on site already, and then we'll do the demolition, house placement engineering on their lot. Otherwise, Reverence, we've got a few lots left there, and we're constantly looking at those little pods that fit the Homes by Tradition or custom level offerings. So we've probably got 5 or 6 of those that we're looking at right now on various unit counts.
So what are you seeing? I know with custom homes, it ranges quite a bit based on really the footprint of the house, your cost per square foot, to build a high quality custom home is always going to be at a certain minimum. But where are you seeing like your total packages? I know a lot of people are bringing in, their own land and they have that involved. So what would you say your typical kind of total packages right now that you're seeing out there? 2
years ago, I would say that we were in that 1.4 range on average for a house and site conditions without the lot. And I used to quote, just for a benchmark of pricing, customers leave, they understand what size square footage of house they want, or they're looking at if they're in that 250 to 300, 325 a square foot. Right now we're seeing easily 325 to somewhere 400 plus per square foot on the houses. Then you attach a lot to that price, which puts us up in an average of about 1.7 to 1.9 million for average house is what we're seeing. So it has gone up for sure, but the customers are there, they're requesting more. And so they want to see all of it in up front. And they'd rather see that number with everything they want up front and then kind of work to see what they can give up if they need to.
Even though as a custom builder, you're always dealing with new things and changes, it seems like now that's become the norm for you guys. So thank you very much for your time and for joining us, Erik. thank you once again, and we will catch up with you again, I'm sure, because I know that if there's anything that's consistent, that's going to be the change.
Well, we'll do this. This is kind of cost and supply chain part 2, and we'll give it a couple months here, Dean, but be ready to clear your calendar for another podcast because we're going to do this part 3 here, and we'll compare notes.
All right, we'll see.
All right, thanks. I appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.